I quit my very stable, secure job with a company I'd been working with for a little over a decade. Now, it took me almost 2 years to hand in my resignation. 2 years to give that piece of paper to my boss, or email in the PDF, that said I was comfortable enough to move on. Now, what I want you to take with you today, and what I want to give back to you, is that 2 years that I wasted. So to give you some context, I'm a designer, not as in a drawing pretty pictures sense of the word, although I can do that, more of a human-centered designer. So I design systems and experiments and processes that companies can use to learn how to be different, how to transform, and impress people in better ways. I'm also a facilitator. So I facilitate hackathons mostly. For those of you who don't know, hackathons are essentially where you get a group of people together for a couple of days, a diverse group. You hand them a problem and they hack away at it. So they spent those couple of days building businesses and prototypes, and they test them with people. Then at the end of the event, they present what they've built back to a panel of judges, and winners take all. Now, I also hang out a lot in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. I've mentored a handful of startups, and a few friends and I founded an organization that's there to support and foster the financial technology or the fintech community here in Queensland. Now, in doing all of this, I've been blessed to have hung out with so many amazing people from across the globe. So people who are at the bleeding edge of change, people who are hell-bent on transforming their imagination into reality. These people are fundamentally changing the structure of the way the world works as we know it. And I've learned a few things from them. 2 really important things. Number 1 is, while these people are epically amazing, they're not too different from you and I. And number 2, I've learned how they do it, how they become successes in this designery, innovation, entrepreneurial, unicorn riding, weird, crazy world that we live in. You want to learn? Yeah? You'd think that it's really complex, but it's really just 2 simple steps. So step 1 is you decide what you want to do. And step 2, you do it. Done. Decide and do. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably thinking, no, hang on a second, there's got to be more to it. You know, like, what do you do? How do you do? So for those of you like me, there's maybe a sub point. You do whatever it takes. So you decide and do whatever it takes. So I've learnt this. Awesome. Secret. Great. Why didn't I then go from deciding to doing? You know, what stopped me from going to my next adventure? What stopped me from making the next Uber for middle-aged hipsters with awesome beards and sweet minivans? Yeah? Who here's had a really cool idea? Right? You've honestly, genuinely decided that you're going to do this thing, and you spend all this time planning and thinking and organizing and strategizing, and then somewhere along the way, you tend to talk yourself out of it. Yeah, from my observations, we do this all the time. Somewhere in that thinking and planning and strategizing and organizing, we undecide and we don't do it. So what was that idea that you had? Or better yet, what do you want to be in the future? What do you want to do in the future? take out that piece of paper and pen right now. And I want you to write down, I want to be, or better yet, I am, and then write that thing. Now, it could be anything. You could have had a business idea kicking around the back of your head for a while, or you might have wanted to take up another hobby, or you wanted to change career, or whatever. So write that thing down. Now, I've done what you're doing right now, and I've done it a lot. I've written down a lot of things, and I still didn't go from the deciding to the doing. And I reckon people don't move from that first step to the second step because of one good reason. And I know this of people because I thought it of myself. And that was, I didn't feel good enough. Yeah. In my case, I'd look around the ecosystem and you'd see all of these cool inventors and these startup CEOs, and they were sexy and like business cool. Yeah. And they were insanely intelligent. The models that they had were fantastic. And obviously there's all these big write-ups about how many customers they got and sales they've got. Extremely successful people. And I would compare myself to that, and I just did not feel safe taking that first step and joining them in that arena. So let's analyze those 4 excuses. Pop quiz. Who do you think right now is the most well-known entrepreneur, innovator come superhero? Right? If you said Tony Stark, you'd be close. I reckon it's Elon Musk. Now, I say Tony Stark because legend has it is that they modeled Iron Man off Elon. So he's a pretty cool guy, right? So I see this and I want to enter that arena and I'm like, I don't compare to that. But we forget 2 important things. Number 1, that's just an image. That's not really him. And number 2, that's not where he started out. So if you were to look up Elon Musk PayPal, which is where he started, you'd find something like this. Like you, I can relate to that. Definitely the brains of the operation. So let's talk about being smart. Who thinks what you wrote down requires a certain specific knowledge set to do? I definitely did. Right, but I learned that I don't think you need to be smart in the sense of knowing things already. Right? Like, I'm pretty sure, haven't studied it myself, but brain surgeons don't necessarily just decide, yep, I'm going to be a brain surgeon, and then start hacking away at people's heads. Right? They study, they put in the hours, they roll their sleeves up, they practice, hopefully not on real people, and eventually they learn these new things. Now, I stumbled across this story of some Hungarian soldiers who were lost in the Alps in World War II. So they don't know where they are, obviously, because they're lost. Visibility goes to 0 when it starts snowing, which is okay because, once again, they don't know where they are, so they don't know what the landmarks are. Then one of the soldiers finds a map in their back pocket, and they use that map, as you do with maps, to get themselves out. Now, once they were out, they discovered that that map wasn't of the Alps. It was of the Pyrenees. So you don't need that knowledge already. You just sort of work it out as you go along. So in my case, I'd be thinking, like, innovation is this new thing. How am I supposed to know this new thing? I can't. It's unknown. All I have to do is work out how to learn new stuff. Simple, right? So we've established I don't know what I'm doing. People who don't know what they're doing usually get things wrong all the time, and that's not what success is all about. Success is about making things more awesome, really cool, making things work. And then I stumbled across again another learning, which is about lean startup methodology. Now, lean startup methodology is this three-step process to build successful businesses, prototypes, things. Essentially, you build something, you test it, and you learn from that. So I build a prototype, I put it in front of people to test where it's wrong, and I learn from that, and I build another prototype, and I put that prototype in front of people. So it's rinse, repeat. You keep going, you keep iterating, keep improving until you've got a business that has global domination and you're the ruler of the universe. Now, in this methodology, being successful isn't what it's about. It's all about being wrong and being cool with that. Your job is to actually seek out failure and fix it. But don't get too comfortable because you continue to seek out that failure. You continue to fix it. And you keep learning and growing. Now, building a million different unsuccessful failures of prototypes does not make you feel very secure. Doesn't make you feel safe. And that's how I felt. I didn't feel safe, therefore I took 2 years to hand in my resignation. Do I stay in this stable job with regular income while slowly dying inside, or do I go and do this risky thing, this new thing? But see, here's the thing, staying in that normal job isn't safe. Now, you've all heard about the numbers of jobs that aren't going to exist and the people who are going to be out of work in the years to come due to disruption and innovation, right? But that's way in the future. Let's have a look at what's happening right now. Look at these secure companies who are firing people from secure jobs. Now, going out on your own and doing your own innovative thing isn't safe either. But working for these companies isn't. Especially if you're working for a company who doesn't feel safe enough to go out and take risks and do different things in this ever-changing, crazy world. I mean, in business, you always hear about mitigating risk. You know, we've got to avoid risk at all costs. We've got stakeholders and profits and a business to look after. Don't change, fix what isn't broken. Everything's cool. So let's take a look at one of those companies that successfully avoided risk and change and stayed safe. Who here has heard of Blockbuster? Yes. They were offered an opportunity to partner with a company doing crazy stuff, and they laughed that company out of their boardroom, and they went, these guys are just too weird, never going to happen. And that company went on to become Netflix. And don't even get me started on Kodak. These guys invented digital cameras. Cool. So, yeah, doing crazy new things that you don't know anything about just doesn't feel comfortable, but pushing yourself out of that comfort zone, building some adaptability to change, taking risks, actually is a way of making yourself more secure and more safe. Now, that's whether you want to play in the innovation ecosystem or just stay in a regular job. So I want you to have another look at what you wrote down. It is absolutely important that you can picture yourself there, that you believe you're good enough. Now, you've decided all you have to do is do. But before you talk yourself out of it, come up with a million reasons why not, I want you to create some momentum. So I've got a mate who essentially says it's easy. If you want to be a morning person, to create some momentum, you just throw a leg out of bed in the morning and the rest of your body will follow, right? He's also a big believer in this 5-second philosophy. You have 5 seconds to take action, or you'll talk yourself out of doing it. For me, how I took action, how I started on this new journey, was I would say yes to everything. Before I gave myself a chance to reason my way into not doing something, I would say yes to every single opportunity that came my way. Now, I did not know what I was doing, did not know the steps or the processes, felt completely stupid. I stuffed up a lot, and I thought I'd stuff it up so monumentally that I wouldn't be able to pay the bills. But you know what? The only bad thing that happened was I wasted 2 years. Take a look at what you wrote down again. I want you to picture yourself there, having done that in a few years' time, because you're good enough. Now you decided, all you have to do is do. So, just do it. Just start. Thanks.